Mysterious cemetery image. This photograph was meant to capture a quiet moment of remembrance at a cemetery, nothing more than a keepsake from a visit to a beloved aunt's resting place. The person taking the picture wanted to preserve the familiar decorations that had become part of a long-standing family tradition. At the time, the atmosphere was peaceful, and there was no indication that anything unusual had occurred. It was only later, while carefully examining the photograph, that something unsettling emerged from the background. Inside a nearby mausoleum, behind an ornate iron gate, what appears to be the face of a mysterious figure can be seen staring directly toward the camera. According to the original uploader, nobody had been standing near that grave when the photograph was taken. The unexpected discovery immediately transformed an ordinary memorial photograph into a chilling paranormal mystery. The figure appears to possess pale facial features, dark, hollow-looking eyes, and an expression that many viewers have described as eerily lifelike. Hidden within the shadows of the structure, it seems to be silently observing the photographer from behind the decorative metalwork. The longer people study the image, the more difficult many say it becomes to dismiss the figure as a simple coincidence. The uploader has repeatedly tried to rationalize what appeared in the image, suggesting it could be a trick of the light, an unusual camera effect, or an optical illusion. Yet despite those attempts, the image continues to leave a lasting impression on those who see it. For many who have examined the image, the mysterious face remains one of those rare images that seems to become even more unsettling the longer it is observed, leaving behind a lingering feeling that perhaps the cemetery was not quite as empty as it first appeared. The Silver Star Mountain images. Among the countless images claimed to show mysterious creatures, very few have remained as respected within the Bigfoot research community as the Silver Star Mountain photographs. Captured on the 17th of November, 2005, these remarkable images have continued to generate discussion for nearly 2 decades. Taken high on Silver Star Mountain within Gifford-Pinchot National Forest near Vancouver, Washington, the images appear to show a solitary, dark figure standing motionless on a snow-covered ridgeline. Although the figure is distant, many researchers believe these images represent some of the strongest visual evidence ever recorded of the legendary forest-dwelling creature. The images were taken by Randy Chase, an experienced hiker who was simply enjoying the mountain scenery when something unusual caught his attention. At the time, Chase did not fully understand what he had photographed. It was only after reviewing the images later that he noticed the dark figure standing alone against the snowy landscape. The figure appeared completely isolated, with no obvious signs that it was an ordinary hiker crossing the mountain. Just 1 week later, Chase spoke with John Callender of the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. After interviewing him, Callender described Chase as an honest and credible witness whose passion for hiking naturally placed him in remote wilderness areas. According to the investigator, there was nothing to suggest the photographs had been deliberately staged. Although the organization stopped short of declaring the images conclusive proof, Callender stated that the photographs were certainly worthy of serious consideration. He noted that there were no obvious lines suggesting clothing or a backpack, while what appeared to be a raised area around the neck could just as easily resemble thick hair rather than outdoor equipment. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of the photographs comes from comparisons made between the mysterious figure and ordinary hikers photographed on the same ridgeline. When viewed side by side, many researchers believe the unknown figure appears noticeably larger than nearby people standing in a similar location. Bigfoot witnesses have long described the creature as standing at least 7 feet tall, and many believe the apparent scale seen in these images closely matches those long-standing reports. Combined with the broad shoulders and unusually solid silhouette, supporters argue that the proportions appear difficult to reconcile with an average human wearing winter clothing. The remote location has also added to the mystery. Silver Star Mountain is rugged, isolated, and surrounded by vast stretches of wilderness, exactly the kind of environment frequently associated with reports of large, elusive forest creatures. The figure itself appears calm and stationary, seemingly unaware that it is being photographed from a considerable distance, creating an image that many believe possesses an authenticity often missing from more dramatic claims. Mysterious apparition. In the aftermath of a powerful storm that swept across a military base in Louisiana, one seemingly ordinary image captured something that many believe should not have been there. The image was reportedly taken after a large tree had been brought down by the severe weather, leaving debris scattered across the roadway. As the photographer looked back through the picture, attention was drawn not to the fallen tree itself, but to a dark figure standing quietly beneath its branches. According to the original uploader, nobody had been standing in the street when the image was taken, and no one on the base was wearing a uniform resembling the one visible in the image. That single observation transformed an ordinary storm photograph into a chilling, paranormal mystery. A closer examination appears to reveal the outline of what many viewers describe as an elderly man dressed in an old-fashioned military uniform. The figure seems to stand motionless beneath the damaged tree, partially concealed by shadow, yet distinct enough that many people believe facial features and the shape of historic clothing can be made out. The original uploader remarked that the style of the uniform was particularly unsettling, describing it as looking decades older than anything currently worn on the base. The location itself has only deepened the mystery. According to people familiar with the military installation, stories of unexplained activity have circulated for years. Residents have reportedly shared accounts of strange sounds, unexplained figures, and unusual encounters occurring inside homes and around the grounds with surprising regularity. Because of those long-standing reports, many who viewed the image felt it captured something far more unusual than a trick of light or shadow. As the image spread across paranormal communities, viewers studied every detail, and many arrived at the same conclusion, believing they could clearly make out the form of an older man standing silently beneath the fallen tree. Creepy apparition caught on camera. On a quiet night in Sheffield, South Yorkshire, what began as a simple walk downstairs soon became the centre of a chilling paranormal mystery. According to Luke Jackson, he was staying at his brother Tom's house when, during the early hours of the 13th of November, he found himself unable to sleep. Deciding to go downstairs for a cigarette, he suddenly heard what sounded like footsteps. He then switched on his light on his mobile phone before taking an image down the staircase. It was only after examining the image that he noticed something he insists was not visible at the time. Standing at the bottom of the stairs appears to be the faint figure of an elderly woman, partially obscured by shadow as she faces the kitchen door. Luke claimed the mysterious figure resembled an older lady wearing what looked like a purple cardigan. According to his account, the woman had passed away some time earlier, making the discovery even more unsettling. The image quickly attracted attention from paranormal enthusiasts, many of whom believe the figure possesses a distinctly human shape rather than resembling an ordinary shadow or reflection. Several viewers have commented that the figure appears to be quietly reaching toward the kitchen door, as though carrying out a familiar routine from another time. Although some have suggested the photograph could be explained by lighting conditions or natural visual effects, others remain convinced that Luke captured something far more extraordinary. The mystery of the human Z. According to evolutionary psychologist Gordon Gallup, an experiment carried out during the 1920s reportedly produced a living human-chimpanzee hybrid in a laboratory in the United States, before the project was quietly brought to an abrupt end. Whether viewed as a hidden chapter of scientific history or an astonishing forgotten experiment, the story remains one of the most thought-provoking mysteries in genetics. Gallup, who is well known for his research into animal intelligence and self-awareness, shared the remarkable account during an interview in 2018. He explained that a former university professor had privately told him about a secret experiment that allegedly took place at a research facility in Orange Park, Florida. According to the story, researchers artificially inseminated a female chimpanzee using human genetic material. The procedure was said to have resulted in a successful pregnancy, eventually leading to the birth of a living infant, displaying characteristics of both humans and chimpanzees. Gallup stated that the researchers soon became overwhelmed by the ethical implications of what they had achieved. The infant reportedly survived only briefly before the project was brought to an end, and the young hybrid was quietly put to sleep. If true, the experiment would have remained hidden from the public for almost a century, known only to a handful of individuals who never formally documented what had taken place. The story emerged during a period when scientists were rapidly expanding their understanding of genetics. Following the rediscovery of Gregor Mendel's groundbreaking work in the early 1900s, researchers became increasingly interested in heredity and the biological relationships between different species. Humans and chimpanzees attracted particular attention because they share an extraordinary amount of genetic material. With approximately 99% of their DNA being remarkably similar, some scientists began exploring just how closely related the two species truly were. This growing curiosity encouraged several ambitious research projects. Among the most famous was the work of Soviet biologist Ilya Ivanovich Ivanov, who attempted similar hybridization experiments during the 1920s. Although those efforts reportedly produced no successful results, they demonstrated that the scientific community of the time was actively investigating ideas that today seem almost unimaginable. Against that historical backdrop, Gallup's extraordinary account has continued to attract attention because it suggests that another laboratory may have progressed much further than history officially records. Even with the remarkable genetic similarities shared by humans and chimpanzees, enormous biological obstacles remain. Differences in chromosome structure, reproductive biology, and embryonic development present significant challenges that would make the successful creation of such a hybrid extraordinarily complex. Any developing offspring would likely encounter serious developmental difficulties, making the alleged achievement described by Gallup all the more astonishing. Beyond the scientific questions lie even greater ethical problems. The creation of a being that exists somewhere between two closely related species raises profound questions about identity, dignity, responsibility, and welfare. Such an individual would occupy an entirely unique place in biology, creating moral challenges unlike anything previously encountered. The reported fate of the alleged hybrid illustrates just how quickly scientific curiosity can collide with difficult ethical realities. The mystery of the Van Meter creature. In the quiet farming town of Van Meter, Iowa, an extraordinary series of events unfolded during the autumn of 1903, transforming an ordinary rural community into the center of one of America's most enduring paranormal mysteries. Long before modern discussions of unidentified flying objects or mysterious creatures became common, the residents of this peaceful town found themselves confronted by something they could neither explain nor forget. The strange being that became known as the Van Meter visitor appeared over several consecutive nights, leaving behind eyewitness accounts so unusual and remarkably consistent that the legend continues to fascinate researchers more than a century later. The first encounters occurred under the cover of darkness, when respected members of the community reported seeing an enormous winged figure moving silently through the night skies. Witnesses described a creature standing several feet tall, with large bat-like wings that allowed it to glide effortlessly above rooftops and streets. Unlike any known animal, it possessed a brilliant glowing horn or beam of light projecting from the center of its head. The strange light illuminated the darkness around it, creating an eerie spectacle that left those who witnessed it stunned with disbelief. Adding to its unsettling appearance was an overpowering foul odor that reportedly filled the air whenever the creature came near, making its presence impossible to ignore. One of the earliest witnesses was a respected local banker who encountered the mysterious figure perched on top of a nearby building. The unexpected sight left him momentarily frozen before he reacted by firing his firearm toward the creature. According to his account, the projectiles appeared to have no visible effect. The strange being simply spread its wings and silently disappeared into the darkness, seemingly unharmed. News of the encounter quickly spread throughout Van Meter, but instead of fading away as an isolated story, additional reports soon followed. Over the next several evenings, more residents claimed to witness exactly the same mysterious creature. Despite observing it from different locations, their descriptions remained remarkably similar. Each person spoke of the towering winged creature, the glowing horn upon its head, the eerie silence of its flight, and the powerful odor that accompanied its appearance. Many described an overwhelming sense of unease, as though the atmosphere itself became heavier whenever the visitor appeared. The consistency of these independent accounts convinced many townspeople that something truly unusual had arrived in their community. As fear spread throughout Van Meter, the residents decided they could no longer remain passive observers. Armed with rifles and lanterns, a group of determined citizens gathered near an abandoned brick and limestone mine on the outskirts of town, believing it had become the creature's hiding place. They hoped to confront the mysterious visitor once and for all. During the long night, their patience was rewarded when the strange creature emerged once again. To the astonishment of those present, it was reportedly accompanied by a second creature matching the same unusual description. The gathering responded by unleashing another barrage of gunfire toward the mysterious beings. Yet once again, the creatures appeared completely unaffected. Rather than collapsing or retreating in panic, they calmly withdrew toward the entrance of the abandoned mine before disappearing into the darkness. None of the witnesses reported seeing the creatures emerge. Following that remarkable encounter, the sightings suddenly stopped. The abandoned mine was later shut, adding another layer of mystery to an already extraordinary story. Some believed the creatures had been living in the underground tunnels, while others wondered whether they had simply moved on after their brief appearance in Van Meter. As of right now, the encounters remain a mystery. The mystery of Michelle Coral Lewis. On the warm evening of the 14th of January, 1989, Michelle Coral Lewis left a friend's home in North Rockhampton, expecting nothing more than a short ride home through familiar suburban streets. At just 21 years of age, she had travelled the route before, and there was nothing about the quiet Queensland evening to suggest that this ordinary journey would become one of Australia's most enduring unsolved mysteries. Riding her distinctive red and white Malvern Star BMX mountain bike, Michelle set off along what should have been a journey of less than a kilometre toward her home on Alexandra Street in Kawana. Somewhere during those few short minutes, both Michelle and her bicycle disappeared, without leaving behind a single confirmed trace, creating a mystery that has remained unanswered for more than 3 decades. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of Michelle's disappearance is just how little distance separated her from home. Unlike many missing person cases involving remote wilderness or isolated highways, Michelle vanished within an ordinary suburban neighbourhood where homes, streets, and passing traffic should have offered countless opportunities for someone to notice if anything unusual had taken place. Yet despite the relatively short journey, she never arrived back, and nobody has ever been able to explain exactly what interrupted those final moments of her bike ride. As concern quickly turned into alarm, family members, friends, and local officers began searching the surrounding area. Every street between Stenlake Avenue and Alexandra Street became the focus of careful attention, yet the searches produced nothing. Michelle's distinctive bicycle, which many believed would surely be located even if she had experienced an accident or mechanical problem, was nowhere to be found. Days became weeks, and still there was no indication of where either Michelle or the bicycle had gone. It was almost as though both had simply disappeared into the warm summer night without leaving even the smallest clue behind. That complete absence of physical evidence has continued to trouble investigators ever since. In many missing person investigations, even when answers remain elusive, there are often fragments of evidence left behind to help reconstruct the final movements of the individual involved. Personal belongings are discovered, bicycles are abandoned, witnesses recall unusual encounters, or surveillance footage provides at least part of the story. In Michelle's case, however, there appeared to be almost nothing. No confirmed sightings emerged after she left her friend's house, no trace of the bicycle was recovered, and no physical evidence clearly explained what had happened during that remarkably short journey. As investigators examined every available lead, they gradually reached the conclusion that Michelle had likely encountered another person shortly after leaving Stenlake Avenue. The circumstances surrounding her disappearance suggested that whatever unfolded happened quickly, leaving almost no opportunity for her to continue back to her house. With so few physical clues available, the investigation became dependent upon witness accounts, community information, and the hope that someone might eventually come forward with the missing piece of the puzzle. Just over a month after Michelle vanished, the investigation took an extraordinary and frustrating turn. Around the middle of the day on the 18th of February, 1989, an unidentified man contacted the Rockhampton police station and stated that he possessed important information concerning Michelle's disappearance. Before investigators leading the case could speak directly with him, however, the telephone connection was suddenly lost. The caller never contacted the police again, and despite every effort, his identity has never been established. That brief telephone call has become one of the most intriguing elements of the entire mystery. Whoever made the call had apparently felt compelled to contact the authorities, suggesting that he believed he possessed information of genuine importance. Yet within moments, the opportunity disappeared forever. Whether the line was accidentally disconnected, whether the caller changed his mind, or whether circumstances prevented him from calling again has never been determined. For investigators, it represented a heartbreaking moment when vital information may have been only seconds away before slipping back into silence. Over the following years, Michelle's disappearance became one of Queensland's longest-running unsolved investigations. Although the case never faded from official attention, the passage of time inevitably made the search more difficult as memories faded and potential witnesses became harder to locate. Even so, investigators remained convinced that the answers had not disappeared altogether. Instead, they believed those answers continued to exist within the community, held by individuals who either witnessed something unusual that evening or possessed information they had never shared. That belief became even more evident decades later when the Homicide Cold Case Investigation Unit renewed its focus on Michelle's disappearance. During National Missing Persons Week in 2022, the Queensland government announced a reward of $500,000 for information leading to those responsible. The announcement represented far more than a financial incentive. It reflected investigators' confidence that someone, somewhere, still knew exactly what had happened during Michelle's short ride back to her house, and that the truth remained within reach if the right person finally chose to come forward. The extraordinary size of the reward also demonstrated that the investigation remained active despite the passing decades. Detectives believed the passage of time may have changed circumstances for people connected to the case, encouraging conversations that may never have been possible during the original investigation. Friendships change, loyalties shift, and long-held secrets often become increasingly difficult to carry as the years pass. Investigators hoped that someone burdened by knowledge might finally decide to provide the information needed to complete the unfinished story. The mystery of Tin Song Sheng. The afternoon of the 12th of January, 1996, began like any other school day in the Malaysian city of Klang Selangor. Classrooms emptied as children hurried toward the school gates, eager to begin their weekend. Among them was 7-year-old Tin Song Sheng, who had only recently started primary school. It was just his second week of lessons, and like every afternoon before, he made his way toward the designated area where students waited for their school buses. Nothing about the afternoon appeared unusual, and there was little to suggest that those ordinary moments would become the beginning of one of Malaysia's most enduring, unsolved mysteries. As hundreds of pupils gathered outside the school, the area was filled with parents, buses, and teachers overseeing the busy dismissal. Song Sheng was carrying his school bag and appeared calm as he waited alongside other children. Then, during the brief period between the final bell and the arrival of his bus, something unexpected happened. Witnesses later recalled seeing the young boy leaving the school grounds in the company of an unidentified middle-aged woman. What made the sighting especially unsettling was the complete absence of alarm. Song Sheng did not appear frightened or confused. He simply walked beside the woman as though he trusted her completely. Nobody reported seeing any struggle or signs that anything was wrong. To everyone watching, it appeared to be an ordinary interaction, making the event almost impossible to recognize as the beginning of a tragedy. That single observation has remained at the heart of the mystery ever since. The identity of the woman has never been established, and nobody has ever discovered how she gained the immediate confidence of a 7-year-old child. Concern quickly spread when the school bus arrived and Song Sheng was nowhere to be found. His parents, Tin Kui Diun and Gan Kim Chu, were immediately contacted, and what began as confusion soon turned into a desperate search. Police, volunteers, teachers, neighbors, and complete strangers joined together in the hope of finding the missing boy. Thousands of posters carrying his photograph appeared across Malaysia, covering shop windows, bus stations, and street corners. Newspapers and television stations shared his story, ensuring that his face became familiar to people throughout the country. Despite the enormous public response, investigators struggled to uncover even the smallest breakthrough. The mysterious woman had seemingly disappeared without leaving behind a trail. There were no reliable vehicle descriptions, no confirmed direction of travel, and no physical evidence explaining what had happened after Songsheng walked away from the school grounds. Every passing day made the mystery even more difficult to solve. As weeks turned into months, the search expanded beyond conventional investigation. Experienced trackers searched forests surrounding Klang, hoping to uncover any sign that had been overlooked. Family members explored every possible lead, no matter how unlikely it seemed. Each reported sighting was carefully examined, offering brief moments of hope before ultimately leading nowhere. The uncertainty became almost as painful as the disappearance itself, leaving the family caught between hope and heartbreak, never knowing whether answers might still be waiting somewhere beyond the next lead. Over the following years, rumors began circulating far beyond Malaysia. Some travelers claimed they had seen a young man resembling Song Sheng in neighboring regions, while others believed he had been taken across international borders. Authorities examined these reports whenever possible, but each promising lead eventually faded away without confirmation. The stories only added another layer of uncertainty, leaving investigators unable to separate genuine sightings from mistaken identity. Although decades have now passed since the 12th of January, 1996, the disappearance of Tin Song Sheng continues to resonate throughout Malaysia. The cheerful 7-year-old who left his classroom that Friday afternoon remains forever frozen in time within the public memory. His case profoundly changed the way many schools approached student safety and encouraged parents to become far more vigilant during school dismissal. The mystery of Tiffany Sessions. On the evening of the 9th of February, 1989, Tiffany Sessions left her apartment in Gainesville, Florida, expecting to be away for only a short time. The 20-year-old University of Florida student had decided to go on one of her regular power walks, something friends described as an ordinary part of her daily routine. Before stepping outside, she left behind her wallet, identification, and car keys, clear indications that she intended to return home within the hour. Wearing a light-colored sweatsuit and running shoes, Tiffany walked into the fading evening light, completely unaware that those few steps away from her apartment would become the beginning of one of America's most strangest unsolved mysteries. When the hours passed and Tiffany failed to return, concern quickly turned into alarm. Her disappearance was completely out of character, and those closest to her knew something was terribly wrong. Local authorities responded immediately, launching what would become the largest missing person search ever conducted in Alachua County. Hundreds of police officers, military personnel, search specialists, and volunteers joined together in an enormous effort to locate the missing student. Helicopters searched from above, bloodhounds followed every available scent, and dive teams carefully examined nearby ponds and waterways, while search crews combed through forests, fields, and dense undergrowth surrounding Gainesville. Despite the extraordinary scale of the operation, investigators were confronted by one unsettling reality. There was simply no trace of Tiffany anywhere. No discarded clothing was discovered along her route. There were no confirmed signs of a disturbance, no personal belongings left behind, and no physical evidence capable of revealing what had interrupted her evening walk. Even eyewitness information proved frustratingly limited. Although people reported seeing someone matching Tiffany's description walking through the area earlier that evening, no one could definitively account for what happened during the crucial moments when she disappeared. It was as though she had simply stepped beyond the edge of the known world, leaving investigators with almost nothing to follow. As days gradually became weeks, detectives began considering every possible explanation. The complete absence of evidence suggested that whatever had happened unfolded remarkably quickly, giving Tiffany little or no opportunity to seek help or attract attention. Investigators explored countless leads, interviewed hundreds of people, and carefully examined anyone who might have crossed paths with her that evening. Yet every promising lead eventually reached the same frustrating conclusion, leaving the investigation suspended in uncertainty. The mystery naturally attracted widespread attention across Florida, and over the following years, Tiffany's disappearance became connected to discussions surrounding some of the state's most notorious offenders. Because of the timing of her disappearance and the fear surrounding violent offenses during that period, investigators carefully examined possible links with several well-known individuals whose activities had already drawn national attention. Each possibility was explored in detail, yet none provided the evidence necessary to explain exactly what had happened on that February evening. As the years passed, Tiffany's case gradually became one of Florida's most haunting cold case investigations. Although the search had ended, investigators never stopped reviewing evidence, believing that somewhere within old records lay the missing piece capable of explaining the mystery. That determination eventually produced a significant breakthrough many years later when detectives began re-examining the history of Paul Eugene Rolls, a convicted violent offender whose past movements placed him in Gainesville at the time Tiffany disappeared. Investigators carefully reviewed employment records and discovered that Rolls had been working for a local construction company during the period surrounding Tiffany's disappearance. More significantly, records suggested that he unexpectedly failed to report for work on the very afternoon Tiffany vanished. As detectives continued examining his background, they uncovered another troubling detail. Among Rolls' personal belongings was an address book containing handwritten notes besides specific dates. One particular entry attracted immediate attention because investigators believed it appeared to reference another known victim they later came to believe may have represented Tiffany Sessions. For many investigators, these discoveries fundamentally changed their understanding of the case. Although no direct confession was ever obtained, detectives became increasingly convinced that Rolls possessed the answers they had been searching for over so many years. The available evidence gradually pointed toward him as the individual most likely responsible for Tiffany's disappearance, providing the strongest direction the investigation had ever achieved. Yet even this breakthrough could not fully resolve the mystery. Rolls never revealed what happened during Tiffany's final journey, nor did he identify any location that could explain where she was taken after leaving her apartment. Without that information, investigators remained unable to recover the final physical evidence that might finally complete the investigation. The answers that detectives had pursued for decades appeared to remain locked away forever, leaving important chapters of Tiffany's story unwritten. The mystery of Susan Walsh. On the morning of the 16th of July, 1996, the life of Susan Walsh took a mysterious turn that has never been fully explained. The 36-year-old freelance journalist and mother stepped out of her apartment in Nutley, New Jersey, telling her estranged husband that she would be back in around half an hour after using a nearby payphone. It sounded like an ordinary errand that would take only a few minutes. She left behind her wallet, keys, pager, and even her young son, carrying nothing except the clothes she was wearing. At first glance, her disappearance appeared almost impossible to understand. There was no signs that she intended to travel anywhere, and nothing suggested she planned to leave her life behind. Everything she would normally need remained inside the apartment. Investigators quickly realized they were dealing with a case that extended far beyond an ordinary missing person investigation. The more they examined Susan's recent work, the more they uncovered a complicated world filled with organized crime, hidden communities, and growing fear. Susan was an investigative journalist whose work often took her inside dangerous environments. Writing for publications such as The Village Voice, she focused on stories that many others avoided. One of her most significant investigations centered on organized crime groups involved in taking young women from Eastern Europe into the United States, where they were allegedly forced into abusive working conditions within strip clubs across New Jersey. It was a subject Susan understood better than most, having previously worked as an exotic dancer herself while supporting her education and raising her family. According to those close to her, Susan became increasingly concerned as her investigation progressed. She reportedly confided in friends that she believed she was being followed by unfamiliar individuals. She spoke of receiving threatening messages and feared that her reporting had attracted the attention of people determined to prevent their activities from being exposed. Whether those fears reflected genuine danger or the tremendous pressure surrounding her work has remained one of the central questions surrounding her disappearance. Alongside her investigation into organized crime, Susan had also immersed herself in another unusual subject. She had begun researching Manhattan's underground vampire community, a secretive subculture whose members embraced elaborate rituals, gothic lifestyles, and voluntary blood-drinking ceremonies. Rather than simply interviewing participants, Susan became involved in the community itself, spending considerable time with its members in an effort to understand their beliefs and practices. Her research eventually became so personal that colleagues reportedly worried she had lost the professional distance expected of an investigative journalist. Susan even formed a relationship with a prominent figure within the community, someone who openly claimed to be a real vampire. Friends later observed noticeable changes in her behavior. She became increasingly anxious and appeared convinced that some of the individuals she had encountered represented a genuine threat to her safety. Whether those fears stemmed from real experiences or the emotional strain of becoming immersed in such an unusual world remains impossible to determine. As investigators searched for answers, attention inevitably turned towards Susan's personal life. Her estranged husband, Mark Walsh, was the last known person to see her before she disappeared. According to his account, Susan simply left the apartment intending to use a nearby payphone. However, investigators later reviewed available telephone records and reportedly found no evidence that she had placed a call from the public telephones in the area that morning. The discovery added another layer of uncertainty to an already confusing timeline. Those investigating the case found themselves facing several competing possibilities. Some believed Susan's work investigating organized crime had placed her directly in harm's way. Others focused on her growing involvement with Manhattan's underground vampire community, wondering whether she had uncovered something she was never meant to discover. Another possibility centered on her personal circumstances. Susan had reportedly been facing significant emotional challenges and had experienced a relapse into substance dependency. Those closest to her described periods of growing paranoia and emotional exhaustion during the months before she vanished. Some investigators suggested these struggles may have influenced the events leading up to her disappearance, although no evidence has ever provided a definitive explanation. As the years passed, the trail grew colder rather than clearer. Despite extensive investigations, countless interviews, and repeated reviews of the evidence, no confirmed sightings emerged that explained what became of Susan after she walked away from her apartment. More recently, the release of previously confidential investigative files renewed public interest in the case, yet even those documents offered few new answers. Instead, they illustrated just how many questions remain unresolved after decades of investigation. A leaked email published by WikiLeaks sparked intrigue by referencing the Resurrection Chamber of Gilgamesh. The leak of a peculiar email referencing the Resurrection Chamber of Gilgamesh, allegedly obtained from a Freedom of Information Act request to the US State Department in December 2018, stirred a wave of fascination and speculation around the world. Unlike typical releases involving political affairs or corporate misconduct, this particular leak stood out for its extraordinary content, veering into the realms of ancient mythology, arcane knowledge, and potential government involvement in historical mysteries. The very idea that American officials might be seeking or already in possession of information about the legendary Sumerian king Gilgamesh, and even the burial sites of the Nephilim, beings described in biblical accounts, triggered intense discussions among researchers and those intrigued by the hidden layers of human history. At the center of this narrative is the notion that the US government had shown interest in a mythical resurrection chamber linked to Gilgamesh. The leaked email allegedly contained a direct request for information pertaining to this chamber, Gilgamesh's remains, and burial sites connected to the Nephilim. 1 month following the commencement of the Iraq War, online news articles emerged reporting the discovery of the tomb of Gilgamesh. However, it has been indicated that this was merely when mainstream media began to cover the story, and it is suggested that the actual discovery occurred several months prior to the 2003 invasion. The initial reports, which spread across various news outlets, claimed that archaeologists had found evidence of the ancient ruler's burial site in southern Iraq, sparking excitement among historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts of ancient civilizations. However, shortly after these sensational claims were made, the news stories mysteriously began to disappear from websites, leaving only fragmented traces of what had once seemed like a groundbreaking discovery. While mainstream historians and archaeologists view such content as speculative at best, the very existence of such a request within official channels lent an unusual sense of weight to the matter. It suggested that at least some sectors within government circles might be treating such topics with a degree of seriousness rarely acknowledged publicly. Gilgamesh, a central figure in ancient Mesopotamian mythology, was said to be a demigod, 2/3 divine and 1/3 human, who ruled the city of Uruk around the 3rd millennium BCE. His adventures, recorded in the Epic of Gilgamesh, are widely recognized as one of the oldest surviving works of literature. The epic chronicles his heroic deeds, interactions with gods, and a personal quest to uncover the secrets of eternal life. Although there is some archaeological support for the historical existence of a ruler named Gilgamesh, the mythical elements of his story, particularly those involving divine encounters and immortality, remain the subject of debate. What makes the resurrection chamber reference so striking is that it is not a known element of Sumerian mythology. For some researchers, this opens a tantalizing possibility that ancient societies may have preserved esoteric knowledge that powerful modern institutions are either trying to uncover or have already concealed. What intensifies this theory is the geopolitical backdrop surrounding Iraq in the early 2000s. German archaeologists, during their exploration in Iraq, claimed to have found the possible burial site of Gilgamesh near the ancient city of Uruk. This discovery, however, was soon overshadowed by major global events. Within months, Iraq became the focus of international military intervention. The presence of US forces in regions of historical and archaeological significance, including the ancient site of Babylon, only fueled speculation. Reports emerged that US military personnel had set up outposts within historic ruins, removed artifacts, and even constructed infrastructure like helicopter pads on top of heritage sites. To observers already inclined to question official narratives, these actions suggested a covert mission, one that might have involved the retrieval of ancient relics or knowledge tied to figures like Gilgamesh or the Nephilim. For those who subscribe to theories of suppressed history, this leak represented more than a curiosity. It was a potential validation. The idea that powerful governments are actively exploring or safeguarding knowledge from humanity's earliest civilizations resonates deeply with those who believe that conventional historical timelines may be incomplete or deliberately obscured. They argue that findings which challenge dominant paradigms, such as advanced pre-modern technologies, extraterrestrial contact, or hybrid beings, are often kept from public knowledge under the guise of national security or academic orthodoxy. This raises important questions about transparency and the limits of what is publicly disclosed. The very fact that such subjects appear within governmental correspondence highlights a broader cultural moment. In recent years, public interest in ancient mysteries has surged, with renewed attention on megalithic structures, lost civilizations, and the possibility of extraterrestrial influences in human development. This interest has been amplified by media, documentaries, and an expanding digital space where theories, both grounded and speculative, can circulate freely. The leaked email concerning Gilgamesh's supposed resurrection chamber represents a fascinating intersection of myth, archaeology, and modern intrigue. Whether viewed as a hoax, a misunderstood document, or a genuine glimpse into clandestine inquiries, it captures the enduring allure of humanity's past and the possibilities that lie within it. For those drawn to the mystery, the connection between ancient heroes, biblical giants, and contemporary geopolitics is more than coincidence. It is a signal of deeper truths waiting to be uncovered. The event serves as a reminder that myth and history are not always distinct realms. Throughout human civilization, legends often carry echoes of truth that may be distorted, buried, or waiting to be rediscovered. As the boundaries between historical scholarship and speculative inquiry continue to blur, stories like this highlight the enduring power of ancient narratives and the curiosity they inspire. As of right now, the leaked email stands as a compelling artifact of modern mythmaking. It reflects how the digital age has transformed ancient history into a living conversation, where government records and ancient epics converge in unexpected ways. Whether it was a sincere inquiry, a planted story, or a misunderstanding, it has reignited global interest in mysteries long forgotten, and perhaps, just perhaps, still waiting to be uncovered. This man just posted a mysterious discovery to social media, stating that he captured a mysterious light that appeared in the sky above the United States. Described by the eyewitness as a massive, stationary illumination resembling a glowing portal, this strange phenomenon has baffled online users who have seen it, leaving many pondering its possible origins and implications. The first reports of the mysterious light emerged in the early hours of the morning on April 28th, when the eyewitnesses observed a brilliant glow hovering ominously in the sky. Others then stated that they had seen the mysterious light, and descriptions varied, with some likening the spectacle to a shimmering doorway or celestial gateway, while others compared it to a pulsating orb of radiant energy. Regardless of the terminology used, the consensus among observers was clear. This was no ordinary celestial event. Eyewitness accounts of the mysterious light spread rapidly via social media and news outlets, sparking a flurry of speculation and debate among scientists, ufologists, and armchair enthusiasts. Theories regarding its origin ranged from natural phenomena such as ball lightning or auroras to more exotic explanations involving extraterrestrial visitation or interdimensional portals. One of the most striking aspects of the mysterious light was its apparent lack of movement. Unlike conventional celestial objects, such as stars or planets, which traverse the night sky in predictable patterns, the glowing anomaly remained eerily stationary, defying conventional explanation and prompting further intrigue. As news of the sighting spread, online users tried to explain the mysterious phenomenon. Yet, despite their efforts, the mysterious light remained elusive, casting doubt on conventional explanations and fueling speculation about its true origin. In the absence of concrete evidence, skeptics offered various hypotheses to account for the strange phenomenon. Some suggested that the light could be a rare atmospheric phenomenon or an unusually intense aurora borealis, while others proposed more exotic explanations involving advanced technology or otherworldly visitors. One popular theory posited that the mysterious light was a manifestation of advanced propulsion technology being tested. According to this hypothesis, the glowing portal could represent a wormhole or stargate generated by an experimental spacecraft, allowing for rapid travel between distant points in space-time. While such ideas may sound far-fetched to skeptics, they underscore the profound sense of wonder and curiosity inspired by the mysterious light. For many, the sighting serves as a reminder of the vast mysteries that still await discovery beyond the confines of our planet and solar system, prompting renewed interest in the search for extraterrestrial life and the exploration of the cosmos. There's been an increase in triangle-shaped UFOs seen above Texas. In recent years, reports of triangular UFO sightings above Texas have surged, captivating the public imagination and prompting speculation about the nature and origin of these mysterious craft. Eyewitnesses from across the Lone Star State have described encountering triangular-shaped objects soaring silently through the night sky, their sleek and angular profiles defying conventional explanations and leaving observers awestruck. The phenomenon of triangle-shaped UFOs, often referred to as TR-3B or black triangle craft, has been documented around the world for decades, with sightings reported in numerous countries and regions. However, the frequency and consistency of these encounters above Texas have captured particular attention, leading some to speculate about possible military testing, extraterrestrial visitation, or otherworldly phenomena. One of the most striking features of these triangular UFOs is their silent and seemingly effortless movement through the sky. Witnesses describe the craft as gliding silently overhead, their angular shapes illuminated by soft, pulsating lights that defy the traditional configurations of commercial or military aircraft. Some observers have reported seeing the craft hover motionless for extended periods before darting off at incredible speeds, leaving behind only a lingering sense of awe and wonder. The prevalence of these sightings above Texas has led to widespread speculation about the possible origins of the mysterious craft. Some suggest that the triangular UFOs could be advanced military aircraft undergoing clandestine testing or surveillance operations. Proponents of this theory point to the reported sightings near military installations and testing ranges as evidence of government involvement in the phenomenon. Others, however, propose more exotic explanations, suggesting that the triangular UFOs could be of extraterrestrial origin. According to this hypothesis, the craft may represent advanced spacecraft piloted by beings from other worlds, conducting reconnaissance missions or monitoring Earth's activities from the safety of the cosmos. The silent and stealthy nature of the sightings, as well as the absence of conventional propulsion systems, lend credence to the idea of an otherworldly origin for the mysterious craft. Yet, regardless of their origin, the increased prevalence of triangular UFO sightings above Texas has sparked widespread fascination and debate among researchers, enthusiasts, and skeptics alike. Amateur investigators armed with cameras and binoculars have taken to the skies in search of evidence, hoping to capture photographic or video documentation of the strange craft and unlock the secrets of their existence. John Rhodes, a well-known UFO researcher, has spent years investigating strange and unexplainable phenomena. His work has led him to explore some of the most mysterious locations in the world, but one of his most chilling encounters took place in the Grand Canyon caverns. Rhodes had been following claims that underground tunnels ran beneath the region, possibly connected to a hidden base. However, his search for answers took an unsettling turn when he was confronted by two mysterious figures in black suits. His journey to uncover the truth about these underground tunnels began with whispers from insiders who suggested that the Grand Canyon caverns might be part of a vast subterranean network. The idea of secret underground facilities has long been a topic of discussion among researchers, and Rhodes was determined to find evidence that could validate these claims. However, before he could even begin his exploration, he found himself being watched. Before arriving at his destination, Rhodes noticed that two men in black suits were already there, as if they had been expecting him. This was no ordinary coincidence. The timing of their presence was too precise to be accidental. One of the men remained by the vehicle, while the other approached Rhodes directly. As the man got closer, he immediately identified Rhodes by name. This startled the researcher, as he had never seen this person before in his life. The fact that this stranger knew his name suggested that he had been monitored, leading Rhodes to question just how much these men knew about his investigation. Rhodes could not shake the eerie feeling that the encounter had been carefully planned. How had these men in black known he was coming, and how did they know exactly where he would be at that particular moment? The possibilities were disturbing. The situation raised numerous questions, but the answers remained elusive. What was even more unnerving was the tone in which the man in black spoke to him. The conversation took a menacing turn when the man in the black suit issued what Rhodes perceived to be a thinly veiled threat. The figure warned him that he needed to be careful in this area because it would be easy to fall into one of the many caverns, and if that were to happen, no one would ever find him. This statement, while appearing on the surface to be a simple cautionary note, carried an undeniable sense of intimidation. The implication was clear: if Rhodes continued his investigation, he might not return. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Rhodes wasted no time in leaving the area. He had been warned, and whether or not he was willing to heed the warning, he knew he had to be careful. His mind raced with questions as he departed. Who were these men, and were they government agents, members of a secret organization, or part of an unknown force that was determined to keep the secrets of the Grand Canyon caverns hidden? The encounter had all the hallmarks of the infamous Men in Black phenomenon, in which individuals investigating UFOs and other anomalies are confronted by mysterious figures who seem to have inside knowledge and an agenda to suppress information. Rhodes's experience mirrored countless other accounts from researchers and witnesses who claimed to have been intimidated into silence by unknown entities. The presence of underground tunnels has long been a topic of intrigue in conspiracy circles, with many believing that secret bases or extraterrestrial facilities exist beneath the Earth's surface. The Grand Canyon, with its vast and unexplored caves, would be an ideal location for such a hidden installation. If such a base did exist, it would explain why someone would go to such great lengths to deter Rhodes from investigating further. The unsettling reality of the encounter left Rhodes questioning not only what he had nearly uncovered, but also the level of surveillance that was being conducted on him. The fact that these men had intercepted him before he even reached his intended destination suggested that his movements were being closely watched. If that was the case, then who else was keeping tabs on him? This incident serves as yet another example of the strange and secretive nature surrounding UFO-related investigations. Researchers who get too close to sensitive information often find themselves facing unexpected roadblocks, unexplained encounters, and even direct threats. While some dismiss such claims as paranoia, others believe that these experiences point to a much larger effort to control and conceal knowledge from the public. Rhodes's encounter with the men in black at the Grand Canyon Caverns has remained one of the most mysterious episodes of his research career. The cryptic warning, the eerie knowledge of his whereabouts, and the looming possibility of underground secrets all contribute to an ongoing mystery that remains unsolved. If there truly is something hidden beneath the Grand Canyon, then it is being protected with great effort. Whether it is an underground base, an ancient civilization, or something beyond human understanding, one thing is certain. Rhodes's experience has only fueled the curiosity of those who seek to uncover the unknown. For many, this event raises the question of just how much is being hidden from the public. The existence of underground tunnels, secret bases, and advanced technology is something that continues to surface in countless accounts from researchers and insiders. The encounter that Rhodes experienced suggests that those who seek the truth may be met with resistance from powerful forces. The mystery of the Grand Canyon Caverns remains unsolved, but Rhodes's chilling encounter stands as a stark reminder that sometimes the search for the truth comes at a cost. Whether or not he was able to continue his investigation remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: someone, or something, does not want these secrets to be uncovered. The Grand Caverns, located in southwestern Virginia, have long been shrouded in mystery. Known for their intricate underground passages and massive rock formations, the caverns have fascinated explorers for centuries. However, an eerie photograph taken in 1895 by amateur photographer Orrin Jeffries has left researchers and enthusiasts questioning whether something more than natural beauty exists in these depths. The photograph, which allegedly captures 3 humanoid-like creatures, has sparked numerous theories, ranging from underground civilizations to unknown creatures lurking within the cavern system. Orrin Jeffries was an adventurous photographer who enjoyed capturing landscapes and natural formations. During one of his explorations, he ventured into an unmapped section of the Grand Caverns, an area that few had dared to enter due to local stories of disappearances and strange encounters. The region was notorious for legends claiming that underground networks extended far beyond what was officially recorded. Some hikers in recent years have even reported stumbling upon passageways that seemingly lead to nowhere, adding further intrigue to the legend of the caverns. As Jeffries navigated the cavern with only minimal equipment, he soon realized that the darkness was overwhelming. Given the lack of proper lighting, he decided to conduct a photographic experiment by using long-exposure photography. This technique, often used to capture movement or illuminate dark scenes, allowed him to gather more light from the cave's interior. With no visibility beyond the reach of his flickering lantern, he set up his camera and took several shots into the abyss. While waiting for the exposure to complete, Jeffries suddenly heard something moving deep within the cave. The sound was faint at first, resembling whispers or soft footsteps, but as he remained still, the noise grew more distinct. He described the sensation as something shifting in the darkness, moving just beyond his field of vision. Feeling an overwhelming sense of unease, he quickly reached for his camera's flash mechanism, hoping to momentarily illuminate his surroundings and reveal what was hiding in the shadows. The brief flash lit up the cavern walls, exposing intricate formations, deep crevices, and most disturbingly, 3 humanoid figures standing just a short distance away. In the split second of illumination, Jeffries saw their elongated limbs and unusual features, but before he could react, darkness consumed the cavern once more. Terrified, he grabbed his equipment and rushed out of the cave, desperate to escape whatever was lurking within. Once safely outside, he wasted no time in developing the photograph. To his horror, the image clearly showed 3 figures standing in the distance, peering directly at him. Their faces were obscured, but their hunched posture and skeletal frames gave them an unsettling, otherworldly appearance. Jeffries was shaken by what he had captured, convinced that he had encountered something not meant to be seen. Determined to share his discovery, he approached a local newspaper and presented the photograph. He explained his experience in detail, recounting the strange noises and the figures that had appeared in his image. However, rather than being met with intrigue, his story was dismissed by skeptics who believed it was either a photographic anomaly or a fabrication. Some claimed that light reflections on the cave walls created an illusion, while others insisted that Jeffries had mistaken natural rock formations for living creatures. Despite the skepticism, the photograph circulated among local residents, many of whom believed it validated long-standing rumors of mysterious beings living in the cavern depths. Theories began to emerge, with some suggesting that the figures belonged to a lost subterranean civilization that had remained hidden for centuries. Over time, the photograph faded into obscurity, with no concrete explanation ever being provided. However, as modern-day hikers and explorers continue to report strange encounters within the caverns, interest in Jeffries' story has resurfaced. Some paranormal researchers have attempted to track down the original photograph, hoping to analyze it using modern technology to determine its authenticity. Unfortunately, the original print has never been recovered, and only grainy reproductions exist today. Recent scientific studies of unexplored cavern systems suggest that entire ecosystems may exist underground, filled with undiscovered species adapted to life in complete darkness. These revelations have led some to believe that the figures in Jeffries' photograph could have been biological entities, rather than supernatural ones. Certain species of cave-dwelling organisms exhibit features such as elongated limbs and heightened sensory abilities, which could explain the humanoid appearance of the creatures. Others have linked the Grand Caverns to theories about underground alien bases, suggesting that extraterrestrial beings may have established hidden outposts beneath the Earth's surface. This concept aligns with numerous UFO reports that describe strange lights disappearing into mountains or caves, leading some theorists to conclude that intelligent beings may have built underground networks to avoid detection. Regardless of the theories, one undeniable fact remains: the Grand Caverns continue to be a place of mystery, and Jeffries' photograph is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence ever captured in such an environment. Whether the figures were optical illusions, undiscovered creatures, or something beyond human understanding, the mystery persists. To this day, explorers who visit the Grand Caverns report an eerie feeling, as if they are not alone in the darkness. Some claim to have heard faint whispers echoing through the tunnels, while others describe the sensation of being watched from unseen crevices. As investigations into underground anomalies continue, the legend of the 1895 Grand Caverns photograph remains one of the most enduring mysteries in American folklore. Until more evidence emerges, the truth about what Jeffries saw that night in the depths of the cavern will remain a mystery, waiting in the shadows, just beyond the reach of the light. In the ancient and sacred city of Jerusalem, a luminous event unfolded beneath a calm and starlit sky, leaving residents and visitors alike in a state of astonishment. During the early hours of the morning, as the city rested in relative stillness, an extraordinary sight appeared above the skyline. Suspended against the darkness was a radiant object, unmistakably shaped like a cross, glowing with an intensity that commanded attention. What began as a distant point of light quickly revealed itself to be something far more unusual, igniting both spiritual reflection and profound curiosity. Witnesses described the night as unusually clear, with no clouds obscuring the heavens. The stars shimmered faintly above the historic rooftops, and the familiar glow of the city lights created a soft halo along the horizon. It was within this tranquil backdrop that the luminous entity manifested. At first glance, several observers assumed they were looking at a particularly bright star. The object appeared stationary, its brilliance rivaling that of the most radiant celestial bodies. However, as moments passed, subtle changes began to occur. The light seemed to intensify. It expanded slightly, its glow sharpening against the dark canvas of the sky. Observers noted that the shape gradually became more defined. What had initially appeared spherical began to take on a distinct cruciform outline. 4 luminous arms extended outward from a brilliant central core, forming a symmetrical cross that hovered in silence above Jerusalem. The sight was impossible to ignore, standing in stark contrast to the dim constellations scattered around it. One resident recounted that upon recognizing the unusual geometry of the object, a wave of awe swept through the small gathering of onlookers nearby. Phones were quickly raised to capture the moment. Yet despite repeated attempts, the brilliance of the object overwhelmed their devices. The majority of photographs revealed only an intense glowing orb. The cross shape, so visible to the naked eye, seemed to dissolve when magnified through digital lenses. Only one photograph managed to capture the faint outline of the radiant arms extending from the luminous center. The individual who captured that image later explained the frustration they experienced while attempting to focus their iPhone camera. Each time they zoomed in, the autofocus struggled to stabilize. The cross blurred into an indistinct sphere of white light, its edges dissolving into brightness. This difficulty mirrored experiences reported by countless other witnesses around the world who have attempted to photograph luminous, unidentified objects at night. Modern smartphone cameras, though advanced, often struggle with intense light sources against dark backgrounds, resulting in overexposure and loss of detail. Eyewitnesses insisted that what they saw with their eyes was far clearer than what the images portrayed. They described the cross as radiating from within, not as a flat projection, but as a three-dimensional presence suspended in space. The arms of the cross were not rigid beams, but appeared slightly tapered, glowing softly at their edges, while the center burned with concentrated brilliance. It resembled pure light, an embodiment of illumination that defied easy categorization. As minutes passed, the object began to move. Its motion was smooth and deliberate, gliding slowly across the sky rather than blinking or flickering like aircraft lights. Observers noted that it did not follow the path of satellites or conventional planes. There were no blinking navigation lights, no audible engine noise, and no visible trail behind it. Instead, it traveled with a silent grace, maintaining its cross-shaped form as it gradually shifted position above the city. Some witnesses reported that as it traversed the sky, it appeared to grow slightly larger, as though descending or drawing closer. This perception heightened the emotional intensity of the moment. The cross was no longer a distant anomaly, but an approaching presence. The light shimmered gently, almost pulsing, though not in a rhythmic pattern. It remained steady yet alive, captivating all who looked upon it. Jerusalem, a city layered with profound religious significance, provided a deeply symbolic setting for such an event. For many observers, the appearance of a luminous cross in the heavens resonated immediately with spiritual meaning. Some interpreted the sight as a sign, a reminder, or a manifestation of divine presence. The cross, long regarded as a sacred emblem, seemed to hover protectively above the ancient city. Others approached the phenomenon from a different perspective. They viewed it as an unidentified aerial object, a luminous entity whose origins were unknown but undeniably physical. The repeated history of unusual sightings in Jerusalem added weight to their interpretation. This was not the first time mysterious lights or structured shapes had been reported above the city. Over the years, multiple observations of unexplained aerial phenomena had sparked ongoing discussion about why such events appeared drawn to this location. The recurrence of unusual sightings has led some to speculate that Jerusalem's unique geographic and energetic qualities may attract such phenomena. Situated at the crossroads of continents and civilizations, the city has long been regarded as a focal point of spiritual and historical significance. Whether through spiritual resonance or strategic geographic positioning, many believe there is an underlying reason for the repeated presence of unexplained objects in its skies. Scientific-minded observers also examined the event carefully. They considered potential atmospheric explanations, such as rare light refraction effects or optical distortions caused by temperature layers in the air. However, the distinct cross-configuration and sustained movement pattern challenged purely atmospheric interpretations. The object's defined geometry and controlled glide suggested structure rather than random light scattering. One particularly striking aspect of the sighting was the emotional impact it left on witnesses. Many described a sense of stillness that accompanied the appearance. Conversations fell silent. Traffic noises seemed distant. The glowing cross commanded focus, creating a shared moment of collective awe. Even those who approached the sighting with skepticism admitted that the clarity of its shape and the serenity of its movement made the experience unforgettable. As dawn approached, the luminous cross gradually diminished in intensity. Its brilliance softened, the arms of the cross becoming less distinct as it receded into the dark expanse. Eventually, it faded from view entirely, leaving only the familiar constellations and the city lights below. The sky returned to its ordinary appearance, yet the memory of what had hovered there remained vivid. In the days that followed, accounts spread through local communities and beyond. Individuals compared experiences, noting striking similarities in their descriptions. The difficulty in capturing clear photographs became a shared theme. So too did the initial assumption that the object was a star, followed by the realization that it was something entirely different. The luminous cross above Jerusalem became more than a fleeting anomaly. It became a moment etched into personal memory, a sight that blurred the boundaries between faith, science, and the unknown. Whether interpreted as a spiritual symbol, an unidentified aerial phenomenon, or a convergence of both, the event left an indelible mark on those who witnessed it. The mystery of crucifix UFOs. In the vast and ever-expanding realm of unidentified aerial phenomena, few manifestations have stirred as much fascination and contemplation as the mysterious objects now widely referred to as crucifix UFOs. These extraordinary aerial anomalies, recognized for their unmistakable cross-like formation, have been observed in skies across multiple continents, leaving witnesses in a state of astonishment and deep reflection. Their presence, often luminous and silent, has elevated them into one of the most symbolically charged categories within modern ufology. Crucifix UFOs are defined primarily by their distinct geometric structure. When viewed from the ground, these objects present a radiant cross configuration, with a central core of intense light from which 4 illuminated arms extend outward. The symmetry of the formation is frequently described as precise and balanced, resembling a glowing crucifix suspended in mid-air. Unlike conventional aircraft, these objects emit no engine noise, no exhaust trails, and no visible propulsion systems. Their movements appear smooth, deliberate, and at times fluid, as though guided by a form of intelligence beyond known aeronautical engineering. Witness testimonies describing crucifix UFOs have emerged from urban environments, rural landscapes, coastal regions, and desert skies alike. The diversity of locations has only deepened the intrigue surrounding them. Observers consistently recount the same core visual characteristics: a radiant, cross-shaped object, glowing intensely yet softly, hovering or gliding in silence. In many reports, the object first appears as a bright star-like point before gradually revealing its cruciform outline as it shifts position or descends slightly in altitude. The emotional response among witnesses is often profound. Many describe an overwhelming sense of awe as they watch the luminous cross suspended above them. The radiant glow casts a soft illumination across the surrounding environment, creating an atmosphere that feels almost surreal. Some observers report a sensation of stillness in the air, as though the moment itself becomes suspended alongside the object. Time appears to slow, and attention becomes singularly focused on the phenomenon unfolding overhead. There have been multiple accounts in which more than one crucifix UFO appeared simultaneously. In these rare but compelling sightings, the objects were seen moving in loose formation, maintaining equal distance from one another while drifting across the sky. Their synchronized motion suggested coordination, reinforcing the perception that these were not random light distortions, but structured aerial entities operating with purpose. Eyewitness footage has played a significant role in documenting these phenomena. Videos captured from mobile devices and handheld cameras depict glowing cross-shaped lights hovering at altitude. Despite advancements in imaging technology, many recordings struggle to capture the full clarity of the objects. The intense luminosity often overwhelms digital sensors, causing the cross-shape to blur into a radiant sphere when zoomed. However, in several well-stabilized clips, the cruciform geometry remains visible, rotating slowly or tilting as it moves. Detailed frame-by-frame analysis of such footage has revealed no indications of digital alteration. Light bloom effects, motion patterns, and atmospheric interaction appear consistent with a genuine airborne light source rather than post-production manipulation. This has strengthened confidence among researchers that the visual documentation aligns with eyewitness testimony. One of the most striking behavioral traits attributed to crucifix UFOs is their maneuverability. Witnesses have described sudden accelerations, instantaneous directional shifts, and controlled hovering at fixed altitudes. These flight characteristics exceed the operational limits of known aircraft. The objects appear capable of transitioning from complete stillness to high-velocity motion without gradual build-up, suggesting propulsion systems not yet understood within conventional aerospace science. Interpretations of crucifix UFOs vary, though all acknowledge the authenticity of the sightings themselves. Some researchers propose that the cross shape may be intentional, a symbolic configuration designed to communicate visually with human observers. Given the cross's deep cultural and spiritual resonance across civilizations, this theory suggests an awareness of human symbolism embedded within the design. Others examine the phenomenon from a technological standpoint. They theorize that the cruciform appearance may result from structural extensions housing propulsion emitters or energy stabilization arrays. Within the span of only a few days, two extraordinary sightings unfolded in the skies above California, leaving witnesses stunned and deeply unsettled. Though the events occurred separately, the similarities between them were impossible to ignore. In both instances, massive V-shaped forms appeared suspended in the night sky, hovering silently and motionless. It was only after photographs were reviewed that the full scale and strange geometry of these objects became clear, prompting many to compare the events to the well-known Phoenix Lights incident of the late 20th century. The first sighting occurred during a gathering of neighbors who had assembled at a quiet street corner to witness the lunar eclipse of the 28th of September. The evening had drawn attention for the anticipated blood moon event, and several residents watched as the lunar disk faded into shadow. After approximately 20 minutes, with high clouds drifting overhead and little change in the sky, most of the group departed. One observer remained, gazing upward in hope of seeing the moon reappear. It was then that something unusual became visible. Against the darkened sky, nearly aligned above a nearby chimney, a faint yet sharply angled formation stood out from the surrounding horizontal cloud bands. The shape appeared structured rather than random, forming distinct lines that diverged from the natural drift of the other clouds. Using a Samsung Android Note 2 cell phone, the witness captured several images. Within only a few minutes, the formation dissolved completely. Upon reviewing the photographs, far more detail was revealed than what had been visible to the naked eye. The images showed what appeared to be a rocket-shaped central body with a sharply defined beam of light extending from its tip. From either side protruded large curved appendages resembling whale flippers, forming a massive V silhouette in the sky. The object appeared stationary and emitted no sound. The impression conveyed by the images suggested immense scale, though its exact distance and size could not be determined. Only days later, another sighting occurred elsewhere in California. This time, multiple individuals observed a perfectly shaped V formation lingering overhead for approximately 35 minutes. The object maintained its form despite other clouds moving naturally around it. Witnesses described it as unlike any cloud they had ever seen, its geometry far too precise to be dismissed as coincidence. The structure seemed to hover rather than drift, remaining fixed in position before gradually dissipating. When photographs were examined more closely, the resemblance to a massive craft became undeniable to those who studied the images. The V shape appeared symmetrical, smooth-edged, and sharply defined. There was no engine noise, no blinking navigation lights, and no visible propulsion. It simply existed above the landscape in silence. The comparison to the Phoenix Lights quickly emerged in discussions. That historic event involved large V-shaped objects witnessed by thousands of people across Arizona, also described as silent and immense. The California sightings echoed those earlier accounts in both shape and behavior. In both cases, the objects were initially subtle, blending into the sky until photography revealed sharper outlines and unexpected detail. What makes these California events particularly compelling is the consistency in witness testimony. The objects did not streak across the sky at high speed. They did not flicker or flash erratically. Instead, they hovered calmly, almost deliberately, as if observing rather than traveling. Their silence added to the unease. The absence of sound, despite their apparent size, challenged conventional understanding of aircraft or atmospheric phenomena. As the images circulated online, discussions intensified. Some observers focused on the structured geometry of the forms, noting that natural clouds rarely maintain sharp angular symmetry for extended periods. Others pointed to the beam of light visible in one photograph, describing it as focused and intentional rather than scattered. The brief duration of both events, followed by complete disappearance, deepened the mystery. In each case, the formation dissolved within minutes, leaving only ordinary sky behind. Yet the photographs remained, capturing shapes that seemed engineered rather than accidental. V-shaped UFO sightings have fascinated people for decades, with eyewitnesses across the globe reporting encounters with these mysterious, seemingly silent crafts. Known for their distinctive triangular or chevron shapes, V-shaped UFOs are often described as massive, dark, and capable of floating or gliding effortlessly through the sky. These sightings have occurred from the deserts of Arizona to the cities of Belgium, and the phenomenon has become a significant area of interest for both amateur UFO enthusiasts and serious researchers. With sightings spanning continents, languages, and cultures, the consistency in reports has led many to wonder if V-shaped UFOs represent a new kind of technology, or potentially the visitation of extraterrestrial beings. As mentioned earlier, one of the earliest and most famous sightings of a V-shaped UFO occurred in March 1997 over Phoenix, Arizona, in an incident now famously known as the Phoenix Lights. Thousands of witnesses reported seeing a massive, silent V-shaped object adorned with bright lights slowly moving across the night sky. Observers described the craft as being extraordinarily large, estimated to span the length of several football fields. What made the Phoenix Lights particularly significant was the sheer number of witnesses. An estimated 10,000 people saw the phenomenon. The event garnered nationwide attention, and although the US Air Force later attributed the lights to military flares, many witnesses and UFO researchers have dismissed this explanation, arguing that the object's shape, silence, and movement do not align with standard aircraft or flare behavior. Another high-profile series of V-shaped UFO sightings took place in Belgium during the late 1980s and early 1990s, known as the Belgian UFO wave. Beginning in November 1989, thousands of Belgian citizens reported sightings of large triangular crafts with bright lights at each corner, often described as having a distinct V or chevron shape. These UFOs reportedly moved slowly and silently, with some witnesses claiming they could feel a low-frequency hum emanating from the objects. Belgium's Air Force was even involved in the investigation, with fighter jets sent to intercept the crafts, only to find that the UFOs outmaneuvered them by changing directions and speeds at an incredible rate. The Belgian government's open approach to the sightings and the involvement of military personnel gave this case a level of credibility that continues to intrigue researchers. Eyewitnesses from diverse locations around the world report similar encounters with V-shaped UFOs, giving weight to the idea that this phenomenon may not be isolated or unique to any one region. Reports from Canada, the United Kingdom, Russia, Australia, and Brazil describe V-shaped objects moving across the sky in ways that defy traditional explanations. One common characteristic in these sightings is the size of the objects. Many witnesses report V-shaped UFOs as being massive, sometimes describing them as city block-sized. These objects are also often noted for their apparent ability to move in complete silence, even when traveling at high speeds or hovering low to the ground. For many observers, the silence and sheer scale of these UFOs distinguish them from conventional aircraft, leading some to suspect they may be a product of advanced technology, potentially beyond human capabilities. The consistency in V-shaped UFO sightings has led to widespread speculation about their origin and purpose. Some researchers suggest that these sightings might be linked to experimental military aircraft, potentially a part of classified projects like the rumored TR-3B, a triangular craft allegedly developed by the US military with advanced propulsion systems. Proponents of this theory argue that V-shaped UFOs may be black-budget projects using stealth technology, anti-gravity propulsion, or electromagnetic energy fields that allow them to maneuver in ways conventional aircraft cannot. However, despite years of speculation, no government or military agency has confirmed the existence of such a program, leaving the mystery of V-shaped UFOs unsolved. Others believe that the unusual behavior of these UFOs, such as their silent movement, massive size, and ability to hover or accelerate instantly, suggests an extraterrestrial origin. Advocates of this theory argue that if advanced alien civilizations possess the ability to traverse vast distances in space, it stands to reason that they might also employ stealth technology or unfamiliar propulsion methods, potentially explaining why these UFOs appear so radically different from known human-made aircraft. The V-shaped design could be a functional or aerodynamic choice suited to interstellar travel, or perhaps a specific configuration for tasks like atmospheric surveillance. The impact of V-shaped UFO sightings on popular culture and public perception of the UFO phenomenon has been profound. These sightings have inspired countless theories, documentaries, and fictional portrayals, from television series to feature films. Public fascination with V-shaped UFOs has fueled grassroots investigations and led many to question whether governments may be hiding knowledge about these phenomena. The Phoenix Lights and Belgian UFO wave, among other notable sightings, have become iconic events within UFO lore, serving as key examples for those who believe extraterrestrial crafts are visiting Earth. The prevalence of V-shaped UFO sightings has also prompted serious scientific inquiries. In recent years, official interest in UFOs, now referred to as unidentified aerial phenomena by government agencies, has increased, particularly in light of newly declassified military footage capturing unexplained aerial objects. Ultimately, the global sightings of V-shaped UFOs present a compelling mystery. Their shape, size, silence, and advanced movement capabilities have puzzled eyewitnesses and experts alike, challenging our understanding of both aviation technology and the limits of human knowledge. While some insist that these crafts are the product of human ingenuity, others are equally convinced that they may be evidence of extraterrestrial technology. The mysterious photograph taken by NASA's Mars Curiosity rover recently went viral, capturing what appeared to be a tic-tac-shaped object hovering above the planet's surface. The image quickly sparked widespread discussion, with many questioning whether it was a natural anomaly or something far more extraordinary. However, in a shocking development, NASA has since deleted the image from its archives, fueling speculation that the agency is engaged in a cover-up. The sudden removal of the photograph has only intensified the debate, with some asserting that NASA is hiding evidence of extraterrestrial activity on Mars. The photograph in question became a sensation online, drawing comparisons to the tic-tac UFOs reported by military pilots and civilians on Earth. The tic-tac-shaped objects have been a focal point in discussions about unidentified aerial phenomena, particularly after the US Navy confirmed their encounters with similar fast-moving unidentified craft. The similarities between those sightings and what appeared in the Mars image have led many to believe that the same mysterious entities may be operating both on Earth and in space. NASA has not provided an official explanation for why the image was removed, leaving room for speculation to run rampant. Some UFO researchers argue that the deletion is further proof that the agency is actively suppressing evidence of unexplained phenomena. They suggest that Mars may not be the barren, lifeless planet it is often presented to be, and that there may be more activity occurring on the red planet than the public is being led to believe. If tic-tac UFOs have been witnessed by military personnel on Earth, it raises the possibility that these objects are not confined to our planet, but may be part of a larger, interplanetary phenomenon. Online users who have spent years analyzing NASA's vast archive of Mars images argue that this is not the first time anomalies have been spotted on the planet's surface. Over the years, various rover photographs have shown unusual objects, some of which appear to resemble artificial structures, bright flashes of light, and strange formations that defy easy explanation. While NASA typically dismisses these findings as natural geological formations or camera artifacts, the persistence of these anomalies continues to fuel theories that there is more to Mars than what has been officially disclosed. One of the most compelling aspects of the deleted photograph is the resemblance of the tic-tac-shaped object to previously reported UAPs. The tic-tac UFOs recorded by the US Navy were described as highly maneuverable, silent, and capable of defying known physics. If a similar object was captured hovering above Mars, it could suggest that these craft are not bound by Earth's atmosphere and may have the capability of operating in space and on other planets. This possibility has led some to believe that Mars may be a point of interest, or even a base for these unidentified objects. The removal of the photograph has only strengthened calls for greater transparency from NASA regarding what it knows about unexplained aerial and space phenomena. Many believe that we are reaching a turning point where governments and space agencies will be pressured to disclose more about what they have observed beyond Earth. The recent release of declassified UAP reports by the US government has shown that unidentified objects are taken seriously at the highest levels of authority. If similar objects are now being seen on Mars, it raises questions about whether space agencies have known more about these anomalies than they have admitted to the public. Adding to the intrigue, this is not the first time NASA has been accused of covering up evidence. Over the years, former employees and whistleblowers have claimed that images and data related to unexplained phenomena have been edited or removed before being released to the public. Some former NASA personnel have alleged that images of structures, UFOs, and other anomalies on the Moon and Mars have been altered or classified to keep certain discoveries hidden. While these claims remain controversial, they continue to fuel speculation that the agency is withholding critical information. Another aspect that has caught the attention of UFO researchers is the idea that NASA's sudden removal of the photograph may be part of a broader effort to control the narrative around extraterrestrial encounters. Some believe that the world's major space agencies and governments are preparing the public for gradual disclosure. By carefully selecting which information is released and which is suppressed, they can manage the reaction and avoid panic. If NASA's deletion of the tic-tac-shaped object photo is indeed part of such a strategy, it suggests that full disclosure may still be a long way off. The deletion of the photograph has reignited debates about the true nature of the objects seen on Mars. Are they natural formations, simple camera artifacts, or something far more advanced? Regardless of the answer, the controversy surrounding the image demonstrates the growing demand for open discussion about space anomalies. As technology improves and more private space exploration companies become involved in planetary research, it may become increasingly difficult for any single entity to control the flow of information. For now, the mystery of the tic-tac-shaped object on Mars remains unresolved. Whether it was an anomaly or something far more profound, its sudden removal from NASA's archives has only intensified curiosity and suspicion. The debate over its significance will continue, and as more discoveries are made, the pressure for transparency in space exploration will likely increase. The possibility that we are not alone in the universe remains one of the greatest questions of our time, and moments like this only serve to deepen the mystery. For years, NASA has faced accusations of deliberately cutting the live feed from the International Space Station whenever an unidentified flying object appears. Many who closely monitor the International Space Station cameras have pointed out a suspicious pattern. Every time an unexplained object enters the frame, the feed is suddenly cut, replaced with either a placeholder message or a blank screen. This has fueled speculation that NASA is actively concealing evidence of extraterrestrial activity from the public. One of the most widely discussed incidents occurred in July 2016, when viewers noticed a mysterious object entering Earth's atmosphere. As the object became clearer, the feed was abruptly cut, leaving many frustrated and suspicious. This was not the first time such an event had taken place. Similar interruptions had occurred in October 2014 and January 2015, with many observers believing that NASA deliberately halted the footage to prevent public scrutiny. Each of these cases only added to the growing belief that space agencies are aware of, but unwilling to disclose, the presence of UFOs. The pattern of these interruptions follows a strikingly consistent formula. The moment a UFO-like anomaly appears, the feed is suddenly disrupted without any warning or explanation. Sometimes the screen goes black, while at other times a message appears citing technical difficulties. Viewers who have tracked these events argue that the repeated instances are too perfectly timed to be simple malfunctions. They believe that NASA is hiding something significant and that these technical difficulties are nothing more than a cover-up. This theory is further supported by the fact that the space station's cameras generally function smoothly without issue for extended periods. If technical problems were the sole explanation, they would presumably occur randomly, rather than precisely when an unexplained object appears on screen. This pattern has led UFO enthusiasts and researchers to argue that these shutdowns are intentional and designed to keep the public from witnessing something extraordinary. One of the prevailing theories is that NASA is concealing knowledge of extraterrestrial technology. If UFOs are indeed appearing near the space station, then space agencies may have a vested interest in keeping their presence secret. Some believe that revealing the truth about extraterrestrial craft would cause widespread panic, disrupt global stability, or challenge existing power structures. Others speculate that world governments are already in contact with extraterrestrial beings and that the presence of their craft near the International Space Station is part of an ongoing classified operation. NASA has consistently denied any accusations of a cover-up. The agency explains that maintaining live streams from the space station is a complex process, often subject to technical interruptions. The transmission of live footage from space involves relays through multiple satellites and ground stations, and any disruption in the signal can cause the feed to be cut out. NASA has reiterated that these interruptions are not deliberate and that there is no coordinated effort to suppress evidence of UFOs. Skeptics argue that the most plausible explanation is a combination of natural phenomena and technological limitations. Objects seen on the International Space Station's feed are often dismissed as space debris, camera artifacts, or reflections from the station itself. NASA's official stance is that viewers sometimes misinterpret lens flares, ice particles, or other mundane occurrences as UFOs. According to the agency, the timing of the feed disruptions is purely coincidental. However, this explanation has failed to satisfy those who have witnessed the live feed interruptions firsthand. Many believe that the sheer number of cases, spanning multiple years, cannot be dismissed as mere coincidences. They argue that even if some objects are misidentified, it does not explain why NASA seems to react with abrupt feed cuts, rather than allowing the footage to continue. Further adding to the mystery, some astronauts have spoken publicly about unexplained phenomena witnessed in space. Former NASA astronauts such as Edgar Mitchell and Gordon Cooper have hinted at the existence of extraterrestrial life and classified government knowledge of UFOs. Their statements suggest that at least some members of the space community believe there is more to the story than what NASA is willing to admit. Public interest in UFOs has surged in recent years, especially following the release of declassified US government documents confirming the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena. The fact that official agencies are now acknowledging these occurrences has made many question why NASA remains tight-lipped on the subject. If US military pilots have reported encounters with unknown craft, it stands to reason that astronauts may have seen similar objects in space. Given the mounting evidence and testimonies, many believe that a push for transparency is necessary. Some researchers argue that NASA and other space agencies should release unedited space station footage and allow independent experts to analyze it. If there is truly nothing to hide, then full disclosure should pose no threat. The debate surrounding the space station live feed interruptions continues to grow, with new incidents adding fuel to the fire. Whether due to technical malfunctions or a deliberate effort to suppress information, the fact remains that unexplained objects have been appearing in space for decades. Until NASA provides more detailed explanations or allows unrestricted access to their data, speculation will persist. The mysterious case of Edvard Rustad. The disappearance and case of Edvard Rustad in 1934 remains one of Norway's most perplexing and unsolved mysteries. On January 11, 1934, police officer Einar Krogstad was on patrol in Oslo when he noticed an abandoned dark grey Dodge parked near Grev Weddellsplass. Upon closer inspection, he found the lifeless body of a well-dressed man inside, concealed under a large rug. The victim was quickly identified as Edvard Rustad, a 62-year-old wealthy businessman known for his work in real estate and scrap dealing. He had been shot 4 times in the back of the head. Rustad's case shocked the nation. Norway was not accustomed to violent crime, and the brutal nature of his death immediately grabbed the attention of the media. Newspapers were quick to speculate on possible motives, with robbery being the most obvious. Rustad was known to carry large amounts of cash, and at the time of his death, approximately 500 kroner and several bank books were missing. However, some investigators doubted this theory, arguing that the execution style suggested a more personal motive rather than a simple robbery gone wrong. Rustad was a creature of habit, a man described as punctual, sober, and highly disciplined. On the day of his demise, he left his home as usual and took the train to work with his wife, Sigrid Marie. At 1 p.m, he received a phone call, after which he told his warehouse manager that he had a meeting in 5 minutes. Witnesses later saw him at a cafe near Alexander Kielen's Place, where he stayed for about 30 minutes before leaving. This was the last confirmed sighting of him alive. The investigation into Rustad's case soon revealed a disturbing timeline of events. Witnesses reported seeing his car being driven erratically through Oslo, but by someone other than Rustad. At one point, another driver almost collided with the Dodge and clearly saw that the person behind the wheel was not the businessman. The driver was described as pale, with marked facial features and staring eyes. Later, the car was abandoned in the downtown area, where Officer Krogstad would ultimately discover Rustad's body. The discovery of Rustad's boots and hat provided an important clue. Traces of clay, mud, and dried pigments were found on them, which forensic analysis later linked to the burned ruins of the Boston Blacking Company paint factory outside Oslo. Reports of gunshots from that location at around 2 p.m. on the day of the silencing suggested that Rustad may have been taken out there before being transported back to the city. Despite this promising lead, no further evidence could confirm the theory. As investigators struggled to find suspects, theories of foreign involvement emerged. The bullets retrieved from the crime scene were made by an American manufacturer, Western, and were of a type not sold in Norway. This led to speculation that the case had connections to organized crime in the United States. Adding to the mystery, witnesses recalled Rustad meeting with 2 men in the days leading up to his demise. One of them was described as a tall, well-built man with a square jaw and pale yellowish skin. He spoke broken Norwegian mixed with English, which some identified as an American dialect. The other man was thought to be a Norwegian who had spent a significant amount of time abroad. The FBI became involved in the investigation, with Director J. Edgar Hoover himself commenting that Rustad had been taken for a ride, a phrase often used to describe mafia-style executions. However, despite the international scope of the investigation, no clear suspects were ever identified. Theories of mafia involvement were fueled by Rustad's financial success during the Great Depression, which could have made him a target for extortion or fraud. However, no direct link to American crime syndicates was ever established. The case took a strange turn when, in 1941, journalist Axel Kieland claimed that he had met a man in a Waffen-SS uniform who confessed to Rustad's demise. Years later, after World War II, an Oslo police chief publicly stated that he knew who the individual was, but refused to reveal their identity due to a lack of evidence. These revelations only deepened the mystery, leaving many to wonder if the truth had been deliberately concealed. Over the years, investigators also considered the possibility that Rustad had been involved in shady business dealings. Some reports linked him to arson-for-profit schemes operated by the Andvik gang, known for setting fires to claim insurance payouts. However, no concrete evidence placed Rustad at the center of these activities. His colleagues and associates consistently described him as an honest and respectable businessman, further complicating the theory that he had been killed over a criminal dispute. As the years passed, the trail went cold. By 1959, the statute of limitations on the case had expired, ensuring that whoever was responsible for Rustad's case would never be held accountable. Despite ongoing interest in the case, no new leads have emerged, and it remains one of Norway's most baffling unsolved crimes. Today, the mystery of Edvard Rustad's case continues to intrigue historians and crime enthusiasts alike. What happened to the giant skulls that the Smithsonian discovered at Lovelock Cave? The discovery of giant skeletons across North America has long been a topic of intrigue, with one of the most well-documented cases being the alleged findings at Lovelock Cave in Nevada. Over the years, numerous reports have emerged about the Smithsonian Institution playing a role in suppressing these discoveries, particularly those that challenge mainstream historical narratives. According to researcher Richard J. Dewhurst, evidence of a race of giant humanoids has been deliberately hidden from the public, raising questions about the true history of early civilizations in North America. Lovelock Cave is widely known for being a site of great archaeological significance. In the early 20th century, miners searching for bat guano unearthed a series of remarkable artifacts, including oversized human bones. These discoveries prompted further excavations, which revealed mummies of red-haired giants measuring between 8 and 10 feet tall. Alongside these remains were enormous sandals, measuring 15 inches long, and handprints much larger than those of an average human. The findings seem to align with Native American oral traditions, particularly those of the Paiute tribe, which spoke of a race of giant red-haired beings. According to the Paiute legend, these giants were hostile and cannibalistic, and the tribe ultimately fought and trapped them inside Lovelock Cave before setting it on fire to eliminate them. Despite these astonishing discoveries, little physical evidence of the Lovelock giants remains accessible to the public today. Many of the artifacts recovered from the site are now housed in various museums and private collections, though some have seemingly disappeared over the decades. This has fueled speculation that institutions like the Smithsonian have played a role in suppressing or even destroying evidence that contradicts the established historical narrative. Some researchers claim that the Smithsonian has a history of covering up anomalies that challenge conventional archaeology, particularly when it comes to the existence of giants in North America. Richard J. Dewhurst, in his book The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America, presents numerous accounts from the 19th and early 20th centuries describing the discovery of giant skeletons. He argues that these findings were systematically suppressed by the Smithsonian Institution, which adopted policies to exclude any evidence suggesting pre-Columbian civilizations of non-native origins. According to Dewhurst, this effort to rewrite history was motivated by various political and ideological factors, including the desire to maintain the notion that Native American tribes were the first and only inhabitants of the continent before European colonization. One of the key figures Dewhurst highlights is Major John Wesley Powell, the first director of the Bureau of Ethnology at the Smithsonian. Powell was instrumental in shaping the institution's approach to archaeology, particularly in dismissing any discoveries that hinted at advanced or non-indigenous civilizations in ancient America. His 1880 report on limitations to the use of some anthropologic data effectively set the precedent for disregarding evidence that suggested alternative historical interpretations. Powell's stance became the foundation for the Smithsonian's policies, leading to the dismissal of findings such as the Lovelock giants as mere myths or misinterpretations. Skeptics argue that reports of giant skeletons and oversized human remains have been exaggerated or misrepresented over time. They claim that many of the so-called giant bones were likely the result of misidentified animal remains, or that the skeletal measurements were inaccurately reported. However, the sheer volume of historical reports, combined with Native American legends and the tangible artifacts recovered from Lovelock Cave, make it difficult to dismiss these accounts entirely. One particularly puzzling aspect of the Lovelock Cave discoveries is the lack of transparency regarding what happened to the remains. Some sources claim that the Smithsonian took possession of several of the giant skeletons, only for them to vanish without explanation. Others believe that the institution deliberately downplayed the findings to avoid controversy. If such remains were indeed real and had been thoroughly examined, why are they not displayed in museums for further study, and why is there so little documentation available to the public? These unanswered questions only add to the mystery. The alleged suppression of evidence related to giants in North America raises broader concerns about the control of historical narratives. If institutions like the Smithsonian have actively buried findings that challenge the accepted version of history, what other discoveries have been hidden from the public? The possibility that an entire chapter of human history has been erased, or at the very least, obscured, poses significant implications for our understanding of the past. Despite efforts to discredit these claims, independent researchers continue to push for further investigation into sites like Lovelock Cave. Some believe that with modern technology and renewed interest in alternative archaeology, it may be possible to rediscover evidence that has been lost or hidden. As new discoveries are made and more ancient sites are explored, the truth about North America's mysterious past may eventually come to light. The mystery of the Lovelock Cave giants remains an enduring mystery. Whether or not the Smithsonian played a role in concealing evidence, the stories of these towering beings persist in Native American oral traditions, historical records, and the artifacts that have been uncovered. Until definitive proof is brought forward, the legend of the Lovelock giants will continue to spark curiosity and debate, challenging the established views of early civilizations in North America. The disappearance of Rondres Jr. Phillips. The disappearance of Rondres Jr. Phillips remains one of Louisiana's most heartbreaking mysteries. On April 5, 2018, 4-year-old Junior vanished from the front yard of his family's home in Lisbon, Claiborne Parish. His mother, Sheila Phillips, called the police to report him missing, setting off an intensive search effort that, despite years of investigation, has yet to provide answers. Junior was last seen around 11 in the morning, wearing a white shirt, blue jeans, and black and yellow rubber boots. According to reports, he had been outside with his mother's boyfriend, Nicholas Gilbert, while Sheila was inside. His biological father was incarcerated at the time. Authorities were told that Junior had wandered off, leading to an immediate and urgent search of the surrounding area. Law enforcement, volunteers, and search teams scoured the dense woods near the family's mobile home, which was located 3 miles southeast of Lisbon. Even a nearby pond was drained in hopes of uncovering any trace of Rondres, but no new evidence emerged. As the hours stretched into days, law enforcement agencies, including the FBI and Louisiana State Police, became actively involved. A Level 2 Endangered and Missing Persons Advisory was issued, signaling the seriousness of the case. However, Junior's disappearance did not meet the specific criteria required for an Amber Alert. For an Amber Alert to be issued, authorities must confirm an unexplained disappearance, believe the individual is in immediate danger, and have enough descriptive information to aid in locating them. With no confirmed disappearance and no immediate suspect, authorities could not escalate the alert system, which may have hindered public awareness in the crucial early hours of the case. Despite exhaustive search efforts that included grid searches, helicopters, and drones, investigators failed to locate any leads. Eventually, the massive public search was scaled down, and authorities began to focus on specific areas of interest. Junior's case gained national attention when it was featured on programs such as In Pursuit with John Walsh and Faces of the Missing in People magazine. Unfortunately, while these features generated a significant response from the public, the tips that came in had already been examined by authorities, leading to no new breakthroughs. In 2020, law enforcement released an age-progressed photo of Junior, showing what he might look like at the age of 7. The FBI's Shreveport Resident Agency Office continues to treat the case as a high priority, urging the public to provide any information that could lead to his discovery. However, with no new updates, the investigation remains stalled, leaving his family desperate for answers. To this day, Junior's disappearance remains an agonizing mystery. His family and the investigators assigned to his case continue to hope that someone, somewhere, knows what happened. The Claiborne Parish Sheriff's Office, along with the FBI, remains committed to finding out what happened to Junior, determined not to let his case be forgotten. A video currently spreading across social media shows a man carefully excavating inside a narrow earthen shaft, surrounded by rough stone walls illuminated by a flickering light. Above him, another individual films the scene from the tunnel's circular opening, documenting what initially appears to be routine digging. However, as the worker clears away loose soil and debris, something unexpected begins to emerge from the compacted earth. At first, the shape is subtle, partially concealed by layers of sediment that have likely rested undisturbed for centuries. The cameraman zooms in, steadying the frame, and the outline becomes unmistakable. The formation resembles the head of a dragon, complete with a pronounced snout, ridged contours along what appears to be a brow line, and a distinct curvature suggesting a jaw. The symmetry of the shape stands out against the otherwise irregular texture of the surrounding stone. The more soil that is brushed aside, the clearer the resemblance becomes, as if an ancient relic has been waiting in silence beneath the surface. While official academic positions maintain that dragons are mythological constructs, the discovery has prompted renewed debate. Observers have pointed out a compelling question that continues to echo across comment sections and discussion forums. If dragons never existed, how would humanity across distant continents share such strikingly similar depictions of them? From the coiling serpentine dragons of Chinese tradition to the winged fire-breathing creatures chronicled in medieval England, the imagery remains remarkably consistent. These beings are not vague or abstract. They possess defined features, powerful bodies, scaled textures, elongated necks, and formidable heads that match the shape revealed in the viral tunnel footage. In Chinese and broader Asian culture, dragons have been revered for thousands of years. They symbolize power, wisdom, and cosmic balance. The dragon appears in imperial iconography, in architectural carvings, in festivals, and even within the zodiac calendar. Entire generations were born under the Year of the Dragon, celebrating the creature as a symbol of strength and fortune. The precision with which these dragons are depicted suggests more than imagination. Their form has remained consistent through centuries of art and storytelling, as though rooted in a shared memory. Historical accounts from England further deepen the mystery. Medieval chronicles describe knights confronting enormous serpentine beasts in remote hills and cavernous landscapes. These records were not presented as fairy tales, but as documented events within the cultural framework of the time. Stories of St. George and other dragon encounters have endured across generations, woven into national identity. While modern scholarship categorizes such narratives as folklore, their detailed descriptions continue to raise eyebrows among those who believe ancient witnesses may have encountered something extraordinary. The object uncovered in the tunnel video appears fossilized or mineralized, embedded within layers of earth that suggest great age. Its texture looks weathered yet defined, as though preserved by time. The contours resemble a sculpted relic, but there is no indication of deliberate carving marks or modern interference. Instead, it appears naturally formed yet astonishingly precise, echoing the dragon imagery found in both Eastern and Western traditions. As the footage continues to circulate, viewers analyze every frame, enhancing images, adjusting lighting, and comparing the shape to traditional dragon depictions. Some argue that it could represent an ancient artifact left behind by a forgotten civilization. Others suggest it may be evidence of a species long extinct, preserved in geological secrecy. Regardless of interpretation, the emotional reaction remains consistent. Awe, curiosity, and a sense of rediscovered wonder fill the digital conversations surrounding the video. The underground setting adds to the mystique. Tunnels have long been associated with hidden knowledge, buried relics, and secrets concealed beneath the surface of the world. The circular opening from which the camera peers creates the impression of looking into another realm, as though the earth itself is revealing something long hidden. The golden hue of the light reflecting off the object lends it an almost ceremonial glow, intensifying the sense that this discovery holds significance beyond coincidence. In a modern era, defined by rapid technological advancement and constant digital exposure, genuine mystery feels increasingly rare. Yet this viral video has captured collective imagination precisely because it challenges established boundaries between myth and possibility. It invites reconsideration of stories long dismissed as legend and encourages reflection on the origins of shared cultural imagery. The dragon, a creature woven deeply into global history, once again occupies center stage, not merely as a symbol, but as a potential relic rising from the earth itself. Despite its retirement many years ago, the SR-71 Blackbird from the US Air Force continues to boast multiple prestigious records. This reconnaissance aircraft stands out as the fastest aircraft ever to grace the international skies. In the vast expanse of space lies the realm of celestial mysteries and technological marvels. Among these mysteries, one stands out, a claim by a lone individual who asserts that he has captured photographic evidence of the elusive SR-72 Blackbird near the Moon. Before delving into the purported sighting of the SR-72 Blackbird, it is essential to understand the legacy of its predecessor, the SR-71 Blackbird. Developed by Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works division in the 1960s, the SR-71 Blackbird was a revolutionary reconnaissance aircraft renowned for its speed, altitude, and stealth capabilities. Operating at speeds exceeding Mach 3 and cruising at altitudes of over 85,000 feet, the SR-71 was an icon of American military prowess during the Cold War era. It was against this backdrop that an amateur astronomer and astrophotographer claimed to have captured photographic evidence of the SR-72 Blackbird near the Moon. The individual recounted a surreal experience of witnessing an unidentified aircraft streaking across the lunar surface during a nighttime observation session. According to the eyewitness, the object bore striking similarities to the iconic design of the SR-71 Blackbird, with its distinctive delta-shaped wings and twin-engine configuration. However, What set it apart was its unparalleled speed and agility, defying the laws of physics and leaving a trail of speculation in its wake. The alleged sighting of the SR-72 Blackbird near the Moon raises a myriad of questions and implications for both aviation enthusiasts and military analysts alike. If substantiated, such a revelation would confirm the existence of a next-generation reconnaissance aircraft capable of traversing the vast expanse of space at unprecedented speeds. Oddly enough, it is important to note that the current sighting of this particular aircraft is not an isolated incident. Prior occurrences of this aircraft have been recorded, fueling speculation that it might already be in regular operation within our airspace. This recurrent appearance has sparked curiosity and prompted many to question the true nature and purpose of this aircraft. In addition to this theory, there is a widespread belief that the United States possesses a secretive fleet of advanced aircraft known as black projects, with some bearing a striking resemblance to the design mentioned. Notably, among these classified projects is the mysterious Black Triangle aircraft, sightings of which date back to the 1950s and possibly even earlier, as per certain accounts. This speculation surrounding covert aircraft development has sparked numerous stories and theories over the years, adding to the mystique and intrigue surrounding these elusive flying machines. Furthermore, the implications extend beyond the realm of aerospace engineering to geopolitics and national security. The deployment of a hypersonic reconnaissance platform with the capabilities attributed to the SR-72 could potentially revolutionize military strategy and reconnaissance operations, providing unparalleled situational awareness and response capabilities to military commanders. As of right now, the purported sighting of the SR-72 Blackbird near the Moon represents a tantalizing mystery that captures the imagination and curiosity of aerospace enthusiasts and military analysts alike. Whether a genuine encounter with a next-generation reconnaissance aircraft or a product of misidentification and optical illusion, the tale of the SR-72 Blackbird serves as a reminder of the enduring allure of aviation mysteries and the boundless possibilities that lie beyond the horizon. The STS-61C NASA mission was the 24th Space Shuttle mission and the 7th flight of the Columbia Space Shuttle. Launched on January 12, 1986, the mission was a significant milestone in the history of the Space Shuttle program, as it marked the first time that a German astronaut, Reinhard Führer, had flown in space. The primary objective of the STS-61C mission was to deploy the SATCOM Ku-1 communications satellite, which was designed to provide improved communication capabilities for the United States military. The satellite was successfully deployed on the second day of the mission, and its systems were checked out by ground controllers before being put into service. Oddly enough, during the mission, one of the astronauts captured a strange object in space. Due to the shape of the object, it was given the name of the Black Triangle, and those who investigate the unknown reported that these aircrafts are commonly sighted all around the world. Black triangles have become a popular topic, and these mysterious objects are characterized by their triangular shape and black color, and they have been spotted in the skies around the world, as well as in space. One of the most intriguing aspects of the black triangles is their apparent ability to defy the laws of physics. Witnesses have reported seeing these objects hovering motionless in the sky, and then suddenly accelerating to incredible speeds and disappearing from sight. Others have reported seeing the objects flying in formation or making sudden unpredictable turns and maneuvers. While the origin and nature of these objects is still unknown, there are a number of theories that have been proposed to explain their existence. Some suggest that they may be advanced military aircraft or drones, while others believe that they may be sent here by advanced civilizations, similar to what we have done in regards to sending probes to other planets in our solar system. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence supporting the advanced civilization theory is the sheer number of sightings of black triangles over the years. Witnesses from around the world have reported seeing these objects, often with strikingly similar descriptions and behavior patterns. This has led some to suggest that the objects may be part of a larger alien presence that is monitoring our planet. Another theory that has been proposed is that the black triangles may be related to secret government projects or experiments. Some researchers have pointed to the fact that the objects often appear in areas with high concentrations of military or government activity, and have suggested that they may be part of a classified program. Despite the many theories and speculations surrounding black triangles, the truth remains elusive. While some witnesses have captured images and video of these objects, their true nature and purpose remain unknown. However, the study of black triangles and other unidentified objects remains an important area of research for scientists and enthusiasts alike. By gathering and analyzing data on these objects, researchers can gain insights into the mysteries of our universe and the potential existence of extraterrestrial life. Regardless of their true nature and origin, black triangles continue to captivate and intrigue people around the world. Their enigmatic presence in our skies and in space serves as a reminder of the vastness and mystery of the universe, and of the ongoing quest to understand and explore the unknown. Skeptics have said that this object isn't anything mysterious, and that what we are looking at is just a piece of space debris, further noting that as of right now there is a significant amount of space debris in orbit around the Earth, and this debris poses a serious threat to both manned and unmanned spacecraft. According to estimates from the European Space Agency, there are currently around 34,000 pieces of debris larger than 10 centimeters in size in orbit around the Earth. This includes everything from defunct satellites and rocket stages to nuts and bolts from past missions. These larger pieces of debris can cause significant damage if they collide with a spacecraft, and they are a major concern for the safety of manned missions. Over the years, many astronauts have reported seeing unidentified objects during their missions in space. While some of these sightings can be easily explained as natural phenomena or man-made objects, others remain unexplained and continue to fuel speculation about the existence of advanced life. One of the most famous cases of a sighting by an astronaut occurred during the Apollo 11 mission, which landed the first humans on the Moon in 1969. While on their way to the Moon, the crew reported seeing a strange object that appeared to be following them. According to transcripts of their conversations with ground control, the object appeared to be moving in an erratic pattern and was visible for several minutes before disappearing from view. Other astronauts have also reported seeing strange objects in space. During the STS-48 space shuttle mission in 1991, the crew observed a series of objects moving in a coordinated manner in the distance. The objects appeared to be moving too quickly to be satellites or other man-made objects, and their sudden changes in direction and speed defied explanation. Other astronauts have also reported seeing strange objects or phenomena during their missions. Some have described seeing flashes of light or objects moving in the distance, while others have reported feeling a sense of unease or discomfort while in space. While some skeptics have dismissed these sightings as mere illusions or misidentifications of natural phenomena, others believe that they provide strong evidence for the existence of advanced life. Some have suggested that the strange objects seen by astronauts may be advanced spacecraft or probes sent by alien civilizations to observe or interact with humanity. Despite the many theories and speculations surrounding sightings in space, the truth remains elusive. While some sightings can be explained by natural phenomena or man-made objects, others remain unexplained and continue to fuel speculation and debate. Regardless of their true nature and origin, sightings by astronauts serve as a reminder of the vastness and mystery of the universe, and of the ongoing quest to understand and explore the unknown.